Good morning, classroom. Where are we? Not there. We are back with our philosophical classroom. Can you believe it? I know, and I picked up where we left off. No, actually, am not picking up where we left off. But I did look at where we left off, and where we left off was talking about memory. It was a really, really good philosophical classroom. But one of the problems with that classroom became that really wasn't a philosophical topic. And so I really put that aside and tried to promote the name of the business, Healthy Mind, Body, Spirit. So we had a Healthy Mind, Body, Spirit classroom, and we had a I can't remember now. All of a sudden it just Lucy, shh. Shh. Okay. Lucy, sit down or go in the bedroom now. That's enough. That's enough. That's enough. Sit. Oh, is the dog there? All right. Oh, honey, you know what? You can't bother that dog right now. You let him do his business. Sit in your basket, I said. Sit in your basket, I said. And be quiet. Go night-night. Go night-night. In your basket. Okay, so it is going to be a little bit, it's a welcome back, and I just decided kind of at the last minute and started jotting things down and actually want to get that little tablet. I think it's in the bedroom because this was a real sort of philosophical little journey here that I'm really not, Lucy, sit down, that I'm really not, I don't, it's not like the whole thing is a journey. Our lives, of course, are journeys. So, but there's been all these mysteries going on, and where am I at with that? So this kind of ties into the mysteries. But of course, I really want to emphasize I'm a teacher. That's really what I want to emphasize. And no matter what anybody wants to try and characterize me as, or benefit from, whatever else you think you can benefit from, I'm a teacher. And I wasn't always the best teacher. One of the reasons why was because I wasn't always patient. So I learned that if I prayed for patience, that actually God answered that prayer. I believe that God answered that prayer in a really evident way. If you knew me back then and you knew me now, you would say that it's actually, there's some pretty good evidence that I've acquired a great bit of patience, especially under a lot of pressure. And so I want, but to sit and lay back and be passive about it just is not in my nature. God did not make me that way. And being a believer, we had the spiritual classroom as well. And then, so the philosophical classroom got to be a lot more scientific. And the spiritual classroom dealt with then some of the godly questions like, why fear God? And those are really supposed to be questions for a philosophical classroom. So as you likely know, I combine classrooms, and we got different flows and ebbs and flows of the whole classroom. But we are here on day 78 of the philosophical classroom. And what I wanted to do is I really just wanted to go through. So what about the bookless classroom? Right? We left off when we were talking about the presidents and we were like likely coming back to the bookless classroom, and now all of a sudden, oh, sorry, philosophical classroom. Oh, and by the way, I realized I don't even have that up on my board yet, right? Up on the board of what our schedule is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. This Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, starting today, we are talking about the philosophical classroom. I went to some bookstores. I went to a book sale, and if you've seen me, you have seen that I do enjoy these book sales. I have gotten some great books, one of them being this volume 2 library. But here's the thing about this, and that is that I also am realizing that people have been stealing my books all the way through, and now they stole, and I literally got up in the middle of the night, and when I realized that they stole those books, and I already bought them a second time. I already bought them a second time because they took them, and I just put those things out of my mind because I know all my life people have tried to stop me. And my guess is it's because of their paranoia about the democracy of America, that you already blew out your ass when you decided to have a criminal lifestyle that benefited only 1% of the population, right? And, I realize that I don't have those numbers in front of me, so I am relying on secondhand information all the time. And even in my books, it's all secondhand information. I didn't live that, so I don't know. And as we've talked about in other classrooms, it is imperative. It's very important for us to take a look at literature. Even, I think that, like, based on history and based on reality, not fiction like romance novels. I don't think that you could go back to romance novels and say that kind of fiction tells me something about history. But you can go back to Huckleberry Finn, right? Or you can go back to Letting Go of Alice, right? Or you can, interesting, isn't it? I use the teacher name of Alice, which is kind of interesting. I have to get this light like right out. I look right at it, and it's like right in my eyeballs. He set up the lighting guy this morning, but carelessly, after he took last week off. For Pete's sake, seriously. Okay, I want to see what light is doing what. Okay. Oh, how about if you sit like this? Anywho, so I wanted to show you the books and also kind of talk to you in many of the books about our philosophical question, our question that we have for today, which is what we're going to start with. Didn't think I had it, did you? You didn't think I had it. Oh, seriously? I clearly do not. All right, give me just a second while I put this up. one major question that we're talking about today, and that is, what does it mean to be God-fearing? Okay? So here we are. Let's get started. What does it say? Day 78, God-fearing people are not cowards. So what does it mean to you to be God-fearing? Okay? That's what I want you to think about. That's what we're thinking about. What does it mean to be God-fearing? And I'm going to take a minute while you digest that question and drink my coffee. No, and show you some of the books I have, all right, that I got from, it was Highland, I said Laurel Park, it wasn't Laurel Park. Whichever one is over there. So here I have open in front of me, because again, as I said, I am realizing that they are stealing all of my books. So 3 books, a 2-volume set of my social psychology books, and then a handbook of positive psychology. It is literally disgusting and I've already bought those more than once. It's the same thing with getting online and buying Arrested Development a long time ago. I thought my husband and I could sit and watch it, and I paid for it, a lot of money for it, didn't download. Am I getting discounts on the clothes that I bought a long time ago for my mom who just didn't care about them, gave them away, and I bought them back? So what does that tell you? I mean, what does that tell you? For some people, it says, I'm a nut, right? Not Annette, I'm a nut for some people. But if you were smart enough, you would be saying, how does she do that? They showed me like 16 items. How would I know to buy those same 16 items? So that seems to be the debate. The whole debate, again, I've said before, it's about data. So if we want to get into it, we're going to get into this whole data thing, right? And what I really think is going on. What I really think is going on. It's a demonstration to people who just don't believe in something bigger than themselves, who are telling me, figuratively, when hell freezes over. Well, I'm a 100%er. I know that, but I do not need to stick around for the end result. I could have, all kinds of other people come in and help with that end result. I'm not, but it doesn't have anything to do with, an over whatever. It's just not walking away from injustice. I just don't decide to be like, okay, done here, injustice prevails or not, I don't know. But I will choose always to be with my family. It just doesn't seem to be the case. So in the meantime, they are allowing me to continue with teaching and learning. Okay, so I want you to keep that question in the back of your mind. What does it mean to you to be God-fearing? What does it mean to you? I mean, clearly, many scientists are not God-fearing. So this is how we're going to do this philosophical classroom, exactly like this. I have many things up there ready to show you in all of these books that I've been reading and then buying. Many of the books that I've been reading online, I've said, first of all, one of them is God is red, right? So keep that question in mind. What does it mean to you to be God-fearing? We're going to keep moving. So here, to me, one of the things to be God-fearing, to me, is what it would seem to be almost the exact opposite, and that is exploring God in different ways. So this question comes up, what does it mean to be God-fearing? Because we're supposed to be God-fearing, but there are so many different ways to look at that question. And it is a question that can, first picture would be like punitive. He's punishing, right? God-fearing. I need to be afraid of him like I was afraid of my dad. Sorry, Dad, I was. Yeah. But, who even knows with all the kinds of things that have been going on? So to me, it means that it does mean you can let God lead your life. That it can mean that you let God lead your life. So I can read something about the spirituality that is very non-Christian, to the point that they have a real distaste for Christianity and not feel that it is going to overwhelm me with demonization. No, it really makes me more understanding of the Native Americans. And again, that one quote, oh my gosh, I have it marked here. No, I don't. But I do remember the page. Maybe not. Oh, somebody has another page marked. No, that's not the page. But where they had a quote here about the wilderness and how different those two beliefs are, with the concept of wilderness being a concept that was brought by white Europeans to America. So that could really be God-fearing, right? The Native Americans fearing the Christian God, that could be God-fearing, right? But I don't think so. That's not a very Christian way, obviously. Christians consider themselves God-fearing. What does that mean then? What would that mean, right? Okay. So some of the books that I have, right, that I got, and it just really made me think a lot about whether or not we really are actually a God-fearing nation. So doing the bookless classroom, right, and looking at our history, are we a God-fearing nation? All right? I don't know. It's like, is it this book that I bought? It doesn't look like it's this book that I bought. Another one of these books. So this is why I'm recognizing that these books are books that I have purchased before. And this one It's just that there are pages here I've noticed, and I remember being impressed by the pages in the back here that make it look like you can actually put some autographs on there, especially if you were a person who was collecting, information on presidents. You might try and get invitations to the White House or have your parents take you to the White House in order to get the signatures of those presidents, right? So some of those, okay, they're probably over there. So some of those things are very cool. So I bought these books, and again, I wanted to show you them, and this is the way that we're going to go through this philosophical classroom. I wanted to show you what I bought. I also actually wanted to show you in this, I wish I would have gotten up here. Just give me a second here. So I'm reading this paper, and it's a paper on eugenics. And I've been reading it for quite a while, but it's a very, very long, very, very technical paper. And a lot of this information is becoming very familiar to me. I did papers a long time ago on eugenics, and in different ways I have studied this. I also went back to, even online for eBay, looking at some and so here I was scanning the references, encyclopedias that we used to have, that were a set of family encyclopedias that seemed to be somewhat rare. And it seems to me that I picked up an awful lot of information on eugenics. Now here's the thing about that set of encyclopedias. There would have been, probably, if you think about it, there would have been some still leftover proponents in academia who would have probably had a lot to say about eugenics. And this, I feel like I had a set of encyclopedias. It was the only thing I asked from the house that I wanted, was that set of encyclopedias, and gone. So again, this theme of trying to get some accurate information from our textbooks that people keep constantly stealing from me. And I believe that a lot of my information that I had on eugenics came from that set of encyclopedias. Let's see here. So this is a paper on segregation's science, the American eugenics movement, and Virginia from 1900 to 1980. This is a dissertation. So I just have been reading this, and so you can see here, you go through it here, like highlighting, and it's a long dissertation, but I've gotten through it slowly. Maybe that's the last one I've got highlighted. And I'm still reading. Here we go. There we go. And I'm still reading, and but I also went to the references, and then in the references, I found I'm borrowing this now. Here, this is what this is going to be like, because I am going to be going back and forth from some things to another. I went back to Tuttle. This isn't what I wanted to pull up. And the Tuttles are on my, there we go, mysteries. All right. So it is a very famous name. Well, it's a famous name, and it's just there were many Tuttles I saw on the sex offender list locally. So I did two mysteries on the Tuttle family, and now all of a sudden the Tuttle name is coming up in these books that I got as it relates to things like white supremacy. White supremacy. All right. Here, this book that I'm looking at now, that I'm reading, this was part of. So how about that? In those sites that were in that article that I said, I recognized a lot of this from some research that I had done from those encyclopedias. In those sites is this. So these are the eugenic family studies from 1877 to 1919. Now, you know that where I've been going in our bookless classroom, I've done lots of talks on eugenics in one way or another, and then coming at it from the Killer Tuesdays, as far as the pharmaceuticals and how that represents the same concept, that the most important quality of a human being is their DNA. It's the most important quality for capitalism, but because they can get a steady income based on what they have labeled as steady characteristics in these types of people. People with mental deficits, people with this color skin, right? People with these religious beliefs. All of those, but it's a failed project. We've known it's been a failed project since the 1980s because of the Genome Project. I've talked a lot about this in many different ways. That's what I try and do as a teacher. I try and come at these lessons that I think are most important and represent to the nth degree the classroom thesis that we've had, right? So our classroom thesis about how can we best represent the founding fathers' desire for humanity and integrity and every day degrade it. And I didn't read it. Clearly I didn't read it. But I paraphrased it. And that is, as I've said from almost day one, this is the theme of our classroom. I might have said it, well, maybe on day 2. I don't think I said it on day 1, but I could have, because it could have taken me a while to decide it before I actually recorded the class. So coming at this in many different ways, and what seems to be the real thorn, the dead fig tree, the one that they keep trying that is not producing fruit, is this idea of DNA producing these results. No, these are manufacturers manufactured results that we have in this country. And it's manufactured with manufactured information, right? So when we take a look at the promise to the economy that science provides, that DNA provides, that a stable look at science provides, it's not a look at humanity. You keep trying to predict, and you're having a behavior, and you're having a difficult time predicting that behavior, right? So I keep trying to go back to the lesson, and here's another one that I got recently. These are all of the things that I've been looking at with names that are related to all of this that I've been studying. So as I went through those tabs, what you saw. But this is what I wanted to get to, which was this Google book, which is Beyond Bioethics. And this is a really good look at eugenics. So here, what you get, if you could picture in your mind, little Annette, right? So going through and all of my discoveries, right? So here's my discovery over here. And eugenics, and I put out a whole bunch, but still it is so important because I see the same kind of push and drive from the universities to make me and my thinking obsolete. And that is just, it's inhumane, but it's not human. And I use the word sometimes unhuman. It's not human. It's inhumane. It's also not characteristic of a human being, right? So I've been, kind of like, looking through all of these different articles. This I've just started, but got through the introduction of this. But it's even hard to just even get through the title over here. White Trash is the title. The Eugenic Family Studies, 1877 to 1919. So these studies, so here's me being the donkey that I am, right? Looking at these studies. So this is all, I'm just using it like if you were to have an animated, I would be going through and there would be one of the studies there, you'd be looking at some other studies. That's how the animation would turn out, is all I'm saying. Poorly, I know. It's a philosophical classroom, Annette. It's not the early birds. Get with it. Look at these. Look at the smoke and mirrors I have over here. No, they're not smoke and mirrors. So I don't need that up there any longer. Let's see what we have here. These are the people who funded the studies, these white trash studies. So I'm looking at these people, right? So there's always a woman involved that there is the fall girl, right? For historic purposes, there's the woman who's the fall girl. She's got some money. She's a widow. Let's tangle her up in this crapola, right? Then I find out about this. So, okay, so you've got records. Where are these records? Where are the records you used to write this report, right? And again, a lot of this is coming from this Gregory Dorr, which is an interesting name, paper, okay? Eugenics paper that I had up there. A lot of the sites and a familiarity and depth that I felt that encyclopedia went into, all right? Philosophical classroom. It's also about the steps that I'm going through to bring about these kinds of questions of injustice, right? Injustice, where do they come from? We know we would take a look at appalling behavior from today that we thought was okay 100 years ago. I don't know. Morality doesn't fluctuate. What does is that MF in science, that's what fluctuates, right? And what is it, what does it fluctuate to the tune of? Money. And it's becoming to the point of ridiculousness when the greatest country on the planet is so seduced by money that it is a drug and they lose all common sense. Right on, sister. So where's they've been collecting data, a lot of data on immigrants for a very long time, right? As they came in from Ellis Island. Where's that data? Where's that data, right? And I'm not looking for that data to study the data, like, again, desecrating a grave, taking and pinpointing with my observation and therefore changing the very nature of what occurred, right? That is a quantum physics theory. Your observation changes the very nature of what you're looking at. And I do believe that, absolutely. Right? The energy, your presence, your negativity, your positivity, your stupidity, right? All of those things. So I'm showing you the nature by which you would want to investigate, observe things. And that's really a lot of what science should be, observation and reporting. As soon as you start manipulating, which is what they call experimentation, you F things up royally. Look at this. This is in the name of science. That's in the name of science. So, and what did they do? Very specifically, and this is something to think about, okay? This is something to think about. The progressives, who were progressives of the day, went into rural America, went into the countrysides, and this is what I'm learning from these books. So they went into the countrysides, scientists, urban New Yorkers from Ellis Island, and then they went into, what they did is they migrated and they migrated and they migrated, right? Until they found land that they could settle. And if you are to believe this, this is an incredible book. Another book I've bought more than once. That was in the Feravich home, in my home. Now, it may have always been the Faravich's book. I don't think it was. I think I got this book from Grand Rapids Junior College. Or Grand Rapids Community College. I think I got it there in a book sale, and because we were moving to Oakland County and I thought it was cool to learn the history. So I'm pretty sure I've had this book and bought this book on more than one occasion, because somehow I'm labeled as not the American who deserves to have or teach American history. Yeah. What does it mean to be God-fearing? What does it mean to be God-fearing? So the scientists went into rural America and said, you're doing this all wrong, and it's causing intellectual problems. So we need to get you up to speed. Now, I don't know what was going on, but I do know the pictures I see in this book. And the pictures that I see in this book, I didn't expect to get, I didn't know if I was going to get to this book like that quickly or not. But here's what I see in this book. So there are stories here of all of the counties of Oakland County. So I just bought this at the book sale. Again, purchasing my books over and over again. And what we're going to get to, what is that? What that is again, a Universal Studios that is just trying to demonstrate or trying to get somebody to be crazy by repeating when the repeating data cannot be explained by mere human power. Me buying those outfits cannot be explained by just simply human power. It has to be supernatural power. And that's what they're trying to study. But it's not in just a way of studying it. It's a way of eliminating it as well. So eliminate or controlling it, actually. Controlling it and manipulating it. And you can see then who is it that wants to manipulate these things, right? And this is the reason why. So the libraries are getting rid of all of these hardcore textbooks. It's very difficult for people to understand what is it we should believe. But then there's the nature of these books all going online. Yeah, but are they really online? Are you really getting a picture of the original book? Well, it seems here in this archive.org, yeah, we are getting a picture of the original book. All right, third time. That is a picture of the original book. And I've got books that demonstrate. And I would hope that the Library of Congress keeps a copy of all the original books, maybe with the exception of some of those romance novels that get written and rewritten over and over again. But this is clearly a picture of a book, right? So this is the actual book. And in that way, we certainly do free up a lot of room in our libraries, but God knows what they're going to do with those libraries. Maybe they will return them back to Native Americans. Maybe that's what they'll do. Maybe they'll leave them in rubble. That was one of the things I was reading here. Detroit is incorporated. What does that mean? And then very specifically here, powers of the sheriff, nothing to do with corporations. So this is the reason why I like my hands on the books, although I can really appreciate if I have an online picture of the book, then I know what I also would have had my hands on if my home cannot take all of those books, right? Okay, so here in this history of Oakland County, they have the history of all the villages and the cities, right? And it is interesting to see all of it play out. You can begin to see how. And look at here again. Here, where'd this come from? Digitized by the Internet Archive with funding from China America Digital Academic Library. It's not the first time I've seen that there. So what I'm seeing is information available. I've said that about our cell phone as well, that in China they can go and pick up the pieces and put together a cell phone. So who is actually free and who isn't? Where is the freedom in a capitalistic society where I have to work hard enough to pay $1,000 for a phone and you've made it like a product that has to be updated? That's just the hook. They're always about the salesman's hook always about the salesman's hook in this top 1%. But you just get a handle on what really has been going on, at least a little bit. This was published in approximately 1970, although this book does not have a copyright date on it, right? But I do remember my sister-in-law writing this here. I don't know why she's got MLB there, right? Yeah, and I think I had that question too, because I was like, what's that? But anyway, and so that can kind of give you a little bit of an idea of what was going on in rural America. It is being overtaken by scientific thought from people who want land, who came from the East, from New York and New Jersey, and settling this land in ways that said, it's our MFing land now. We're here. Get the F off of our land. I have a piece of paper on which I wrote a frickin' treaty, and here's our board. What are you going to do about it? And it's just really incredible, the mentality of these white supremacists. These white supremacists. So here we've got in the 4th chapter of this book, we've got the 42 governors of Michigan, Mason to Milliken. Milliken was elected in 1969 until what? I don't know. But he was there a long time as governor. In fact, they had to say, all right, term limits because of Milliken. I think he had, I don't know, he was there a long time. I've talked about that before. It might have even been 20 years as governor, because I think it's something like 6-year terms, and he had 4 6-year terms. Did you know, in reading through all this material, that 99% of incumbents get elected? So once you're in, there's a 99% chance that you're going to get reelected. I got that from this book that I picked up, which I also used to own. Now, I could have given it away. It's possible that I gave this to my sister, but I think that I had a copy of my own as well. Disappeared. Gone. Where's my hardcover copy? This is the teacher's edition. Where's my hardcover copy of this? Gone. Books just taken away from me. Oh, we'll give you a reduced rate, Annette. It'll be worth it. It'll be a reduced rate. You have to buy back Shiv. Okay, I get it. You have to buy back Shiv. That's a Jewish law. But you're a shit. Who knew that was coming? Everyone raise your hand. But yeah, so I learned that in here. 99% of incumbents get reelected. Another book that I rebought. So these 3rd graders are entertained by the fact that and making bets on it, and gambling, and getting rich and richer, because the top 1% own that data. Right? Okay, so here we've got Stephen T. Mason, the first governor of Michigan, and William G. Milliken. That's his picture right there. Who does he look like? Richard M. Nixon. So when you start putting faces together along with names, what you end up with is William Woodbridge, James Gordon, Gordons were neighbors, John Barry, Alpheus Felch, William Greenlee in 1847. Oh, it looks like it was his demise, because that was only 1 year. And then you begin to read all of this that's going on behind the scenes when these people are put in power. Just Murder. Murder. Here, look at this beautiful book. Look at this beautiful book. I think I got this when we went to Washington, D.C. I got these president's books when we went to Washington, D.C. How gorgeous is that? And so this I was looking for Bookless Classroom, although it's not in chronological order, it's in order by the topics. So just made up topics. Andrew Johnson, elect of an assassin. So in these books now, I have got an entirely different look at history, a more adult. And it sounds to me absolutely like they put him as vice president with somebody who didn't have the same beliefs at all, and he had him killed. He had Abraham Lincoln killed. It's like practically right there in black and white. So again, what's the great American experiment? I know it's supposed to be democracy on the surface, but I mean, really, you're manipulating people's rights to that degree. And the Declaration of Independence is simply a document of our greatest pleasures here of democracy, but it has nothing to do with the Constitution. And those are the way that we enforce our laws. What's up with that? And why is it so difficult to understand what I'm saying? Why isn't it just right out there like that? Why don't we know that we really don't have those constitutional rights other than the setup of government, and all they cared about was who had more power? Again, not the image of our Declaration of Independence, not the image that our forefathers wanted to present. That wasn't it. So who effed it up? Well, here we're starting to get a little bit of a picture here, but I hope you're getting a little bit of a picture here of the governors of Michigan. Okay? So here are all of the governors of Michigan. So there's some other names: Barry, Greenlee, Epaphroditus, Ransom. What? I mean, not that, you can judge a book by its cover, but you can judge it by its crabby face. If it's going to kind of be a crabby book. McClelland. Parsons. Parsons were down the street from us. Kit Parsons was her name. Bingham. Kingsley Bingham. Moses Wisner. Wisner's owned the canoe place. I've done this before too. A long time ago. Austin Blair. John Blair. J.D. Vance. Henry Crapo. We had Craps and also Grosses. Baldwin was the name of the street. Bagley. John Bagley. Who was Bagley? Wasn't he a president too? Croswell, a name of a town and street that I used to live near. David Jerome. Josiah Begole. Russell Alger. Alger Heights in Grand Rapids. Cyrus Luce, Luce Street in Fremont. Edwin Winans, familiar name, but I don't know. John T. Rich, it says it all. Hazen Pingree. Aaron Bliss. Fred Warner, we lived on Warner, Stewart and Warner. Chase Osborne, Osborne was across street. Woodbridge Ferris, we know Ferris College, Ferris University. Albert Sleeper, Alexander Grossbeck. Grossbeck is a main fairway in Detroit. Fred Green, Wilbur Brooker. Brookers were a family in Fremont. Comstock is a small town outside of Grand Rapids. Frank Fitzgerald, Frank Murphy, Lauren Dickinson, Lauren, and then what are these names? Lauren D. Dickinson. Lauren D. Dickon. What are these names? Murphy D. Van Wagner, David Wagner, president of Old Kent Bank. Harry F. Kelly, in-laws. Troy Kelly, Bill Kelly. Kim Sigler, a guy. Menon Williams. John Swanson, literally a John Swanson and a Swanson family. George Romney, relatives to Mitt Romney. And then we have congressmen. And is there anything that you notice about all of these elected officials? Some of them, as they came over, were elected. Many of them began by appointment. They appointed themselves. They had a very few people who were elected. 12 people are here. Who's electing? The whole population. There's 12 people here. That's all that exists over here in Oakland County. Oh, well, we elected them. How about all white men? Every one of them white men. So that's democracy there in America. I read about the Oakland County Sheriff. And to me, that Oakland County Sheriff doesn't seem to be somebody who would be giving up his position for an elected official. It seems to me that this whole system of sheriffs would probably be, according to them, better serving the community with a puppet face and the engines staying right there behind. That guy right there looks exactly like the brother of one of the people who have been around here, Gerber people who have been around here, that I've been complaining about over and over and over again. Frank Irons. Oakland County Sheriff at the time. And interestingly, as I said, I ended up picking out just really interesting things about the development of a city. The chief law enforcement officer charged with the preservation of the peace within the county is the sheriff, who is elected by the voters for a term of 4 years. So that's what they're supposed to do, is keep the peace. And that's what was also told to me when they were arresting me and not bothering with all the criminals around who were destroying property. Is that not keeping the peace? Are you not keeping the peace when you are drugging people in downtown Milford? Are you not keeping the peace there? who is elected by the voters for a term of 4 years. While his criminal and civil jurisdiction covers the entire county, the chief area of patrol and regulation is outside incorporated areas. So what does that mean? Municipalities, townships, and villages may, and sometimes do, make contractual arrangements with the County Board of Commissioners to supplement local forces with help from the sheriff's office. So basically, they are paid, they are sheriff by hire, is what they're saying. And they are not there to deal with their patrol and regulation is outside incorporated areas. That's what that says to me. A little spin on words there. Or maybe they are supposed to be. The chief area of patrol and regulation is outside incorporated areas. So what are they doing? What does that mean? You're patrolling businesses for them? That's what you're doing? Patrolling businesses? And towns are getting incorporated? So they are hiring the sheriffs because what they are doing is patrolling businesses? What are you saying? What exactly are you saying? And how is your twisting of words actually a democracy? So, what's the question? Oh, yeah. What does it mean to fear God? To supplement local forces with help from the sheriff's office. In addition, his force is always on call to help suppress a phrase that cannot be handled adequately. So he's keeping the peace. What does he have to do with incorporated areas? What does that mean? And how are they hiring you? For what purpose if you're trained to keep the peace? And in what way are you keeping the peace if you're not upholding the laws for your widows, for the women who are vulnerable? I've said it before. I should have had a visit by the sheriff when I lost my husband. So he knew the situation and there weren't a bunch of criminals all around me trying to sex traffic me. Did he do his job? Not at all. His sister is the one who was my best friend in high school that I believe has been sex trafficking me this whole entire time. Brought home a guy, then left him in the apartment, and he walks in on me in the shower. What's a woman gonna do? Scream and run and slip and fall and bang their head? No, she's gonna calmly suppress the guy's willingness to do something and get the hell out, which is exactly what I did. Left him there in the apartment and got dressed and got the hell out of there. That was my best friend. And this looks exactly like her brother, which means dad. Oakland County Sheriff. Her husband, I said, big fat F you know what? Looking around doing the same GD thing. All now taking their Ozempic because I called them fat pigs, and now what? As an officer of the circuit court, the sheriff and his staff must serve all writs, processes, and warrants. He further serves the court by aiding in the drawing and prospective jurors and by being responsible for juries during their terms of service. Really? Responsible for them? You mean if a jury asks for something, you might be able to get a person something on the jury? Is that what you mean? His office works with deputy coroners and the prosecutor's office on cases of violent or mysterious death and may assist when inquests are ordered. Yeah, wonder why there might be a mysterious death around my husband. Because you didn't take care of the criminals around him? because they were maligning him and me for how long? In order to entertain what? Your servicemen? Your troops? Yeah, we're keeping her. We've got surveillance on her. She's got a pole in her bedroom. We've got surveillance on her. What does it mean to be God-fearing? In 1958, a lake patrol was added to the sheriff's office because, according to a bulletin published by the sheriff's office, in the past few years, there have been drownings to every one death on the highway. There have been drownings to every one death on the highway. What does it mean to be God-fearing when you twist words like that? Why'd you want lake patrol? We saw that over there on Lake Sherwood, didn't we? You and your GD lake patrol not doing any good to anybody. In the past few years, there have been drownings to every one death on the highway. Yeah? How many? What? 0.00023? Not even. There are 423 lakes with 3,300 miles of shoreline in Oakland County. What does that have to do with anything? The Board of Commissioners makes an appropriation each year to pay the wages of specially appointed deputy sheriffs hired during the summer months to enforce state laws controlling operation of watercraft on inland lakes in Oakland County. The state provides matching funds for this activity. Wow. Sounds lucrative. I made less than $40,000 my last year I was teaching with the PhD. College students. The sheriff, in conjunction with the Board of Auditors, supervises the teletype service, which has its main switchboard in the county jail in Pontiac. Oh, really? So you're kind of like Mrs. Olson over there, being able to get all those calls? The Board of Auditors supervises a teletype service that has its main switchboard in the county jail. You mean where my packages kept going over there in Pontiac and then came back with bomb equipment inside my package? You mean that one that you did nothing about? That your sheriffs saw and did nothing about? 3 sheriffs I showed that to. A postmaster I showed that to. They did nothing about it. Oh, and that postmaster looked pretty familiar as well. Interesting what their interest is, where their interests lie. Oh, on the lake? Oh, where do you live? In order to patrol that area? How many contractors do you have out there that were screwing up my place when you first did it? Steve? This serves as a link between police agencies in Oakland and the neighboring counties, Wayne, Washtenaw, Macomb, and Genesee. At the present time, 13 law enforcement agencies within the county have teletype machines connected with the county teletype system and make monthly contributions for this operation. What? You mean organized? The cops are all organized. What? They're getting it all what? I don't understand. The sheriff also has custody of the county jail. The undersheriff and other employees are appointed by the sheriff within the framework of the budget, and the number of employees is approved by the Board of Commissioners. Yeah, and what did I tell you about how much money the county jails are making on commissaries over there? Cha-ching, money, and then charging people who go to jail, what was it, $60 a day? Cha-ching. And if you don't pay by the time that you're out, that enormous bill that some people would have after getting railroaded by all these white males being what? from the big city trying to get rid of white trash. What are you talking about? The sheriff has custody of the county jail in Pontiac. Since the city of Pontiac has the only other jail which can accommodate prisoners for any length of time, the county jail must serve as a depository for persons awaiting trial in the courts of Oakland County. A per diem per day is charged to the law enforcing agency which makes the commitment. Such reimbursements are credited to the departmental receipts of the sheriff's office and considered in making budgetary allotments for the sheriff's department by the Oakland County Board of Commissioners. So that's just what I just told you. Both men and women with various problems such as alcoholism and mental deficiencies may be detained in the county jail. An effort is made to segregate them as facilities will permit. There is a chief jail guard and 5 other jail guards. 2 jail matrons provide the security of female and juvenile prisoners on alternating 24-hour shifts. Really? That's what you allocated to juveniles and female prisoners. Since facilities in the county jail are not adequate to provide for mental cases, every effort is made to transfer them to a mental hospital where they can receive proper care until they are committed to a state institution. Unbelievable. So the sheriff's department has say-so over here for enforcing law over mental patients. Where's your training? Because I've asked many police officers and sheriffs what their training was. And you know what? Mum's the word on that bullshit. Training? F you. I have training with my eyes. I can see a lazy person a mile away. I can see a feeble-minded degenerate a mile away. Provisions are made for the detention of juveniles on probate court order, providing such detention is separate and apart from adult prisoners. Now listen to what they're doing. This is a history of Oakland County, and what they are providing right here for you is what basically is a job description in the history of Oakland County, or a job description for the police officers and sheriffs. The juvenile division makes limited use of the county jail for detention since other facilities are available for most juvenile cases. Alcoholics do not appear to receive any treatment as diseased persons, but are booked on charges such as disorderly conduct. Many of them are perennial lodgers in the county jail on a variety of charges. The first sheriff of Oakland County was William Morris, and he was elected in 1820. He served until 1828 when Schuyler Hodges was elected. Harvey Park was elected in 1829 and served until Oneson Allen was elected in 1832. Allen served until 1837 when Caleb Buchanan was elected. Warren Hunt was elected for 4 years beginning in 1841 and was replaced by election of Edward Martin in 1845. Martin served until Moses G. Spear was elected in 1840. All right, and so we keep going. Irons, who we're talking about, Frank Irons, joins a rather select few who have been sheriff more than one term, and then they list the other ones. Oh, with Horworth being the married name of my girlfriend, who looks like her son is a Milford cop. So, more white men for county treasurer, county clerk, planning commission, road commission, And they are basically appointing themselves and just taking over because really that was what America was. But it just wasn't and never ended up being lucrative for anyone other than those people who were lucrative. Right? Okay, that is my time and a little bit of time over. So I hope I'm not actually worried about it, what you got out of that. I think you got what you're going to get out of it, and we're going to continue with the philosophical classroom, taking a little bit more of a look at the books that I bought and what is the process behind all of really kind of some of the content and some of the things that I come up with, but in particular, the whole area of injustices that I've been studying for a very long time that has to do with the rise of chaos in this country and the rise of white supremacy. This is Dr. Annette Feravich. We are here in the classroom on day 186. It is April 29th, and we have brought back the philosophical classroom. You could look for it in order of numbers. We're here on day 186 of the classroom, but it's a philosophical classroom. We are here day 78. Glad to be back. Thanks for joining me.